want to ask is I had this message that said your connection was lost, and I was like, did I just get rugged?
Well, that's what I was trying to pin a tweet in the space and I'm not even able to do it. I do have weak internet. So if I do get regged, then I'll try to get back in and but that's why it's we have co-hosts and because then we could keep the space open. So yeah, let's
Good.
just get started.
Yeah, sounds good to me. You wanna rocket launch us?
Well, you start us off this time, can you? Or do you want me to do?
Oh, it doesn't matter to me. Well, thank you guys for being here on the block. RVN or Die, NFT RVN, Mirage, Sunny. Uh, Wake Up with WAGMI. I don't even remember what episode or number, but we're deep into it now. Gonna say it's probably like Wake Up 10, maybe. But for anybody who doesn't know, who's listening later, Wake Up with WAGMI is just sort of like a morning sort of get together for Ravencoin enthusiasts, Ravencoin NFT artists, Ravencoin NFT collectors, and anyone within the Ravencoin space on Twitter. We are wagminft.net. We're an online social networking site focused on um, the adoption of Ravencoin, the cryptocurrency Ravencoin. And basically, we're just trying to connect artists, collectors, investors, marketplace companies, anybody who's in and around Ravencoin to become more connected via wagminft.net. As you know, the internet's a very vast, expanse place, and things can get lost very easily and overlooked more often than you'd imagine. So we realized that there was a gap within the Ravencoin community, whether you were a miner or an artist, that there was no hub for people to get together and connect and network. So we, I guess you could say, seized the opportunity to create the network, and here we are. So good morning.
Yeah, perfect summary. And observing just how this is starting to unfold, where artists typically aren't having their own website because why should they have to maintain, and pay dues and fees for keeping up a website when everything is happening on Twitter? But just with how Twitter is structured, it's hard to go see the artist work in one place. So Sircrone did a great job in allowing the artist or whoever wants to come onto WAGMI to add photos or images to their gallery. They can link their Twitter space. They can make friend requests. They can download a wallet so that they can send and receive airdrops. And there's a big page and with all these different tabs that allow you to learn about Ravencoin and how to mint. And so, yeah, we're just aiming to have it as a hub, and we're really going to start ramping up our social media now with videos. We made our first one. Mirage actually made it. It was a really great collab because she donated it, and then we're going to be donating 500 Ravencoin for somebody to start to get a main asset or do whatever they want to do with it. So that was really nice, and we want to do more things like that where because this is artists helping artists and creating a link between all the parts of the chain that NFTs are being sort of what this whole process is going to end up towards. So, the artist connecting with not just the collector, but corporations, brands. I believe that most things that we buy are going to be NFTs in some way, shape, or form. So, we want to set this up so that you, as the artist, can be at the engine, really be the engine of what's making this whole movement help this whole movement go forward. So, yeah, we wanted WAGMI NFT just to be like what you put into it is what you get out of it. So, I know Mirage linked some of her, made some posts, and that was really, we're just going to try to encourage people to try not to, because the page is just a stream. So try just to keep it about yourself and your project rather than, doing kind of like what we see on Twitter where you have like a lot of hashtags or where it's just not visually stimulating. We want to keep it so that the website's attractive for new people that want to come in and learn about Ravencoin. I'm going to invite Dow to come up and speak too. Everyone can speak, but that's basically it. We're just still charging forward. We're getting a lot of hits on the website. The GM gallery NFTs get a huge amount of traction. Unfortunately, it's not translating into, sales. The sales of NFTs have really dropped off. So especially with the last three NFTs when the bear market kind of started. So if you have a chance, please, please um, get over to either Ravenist or RVNFT, type in WAGMI NFT, and our whole all of our NFTs come
NFTRVN.
up. Oh, sorry. NFT. Yeah, I always get it backwards. Yeah, thank you for correcting me. Jason's just sitting there quiet. Yeah,
I
it's
felt
easier for me
I
to say
felt his
Nifty.
heart go, no.
In the beginning, I was laughing because it was hard for me to switch them over. It's like a tongue twister. But now, I'm really grateful to have Nifty Raven in a space and giving so much support to WAGMI because they were from day one. You guys were retweeting us. You made a profile on the site, and you added each GM token like the minute we got it put up. So we really appreciate your support. So
Yeah,
we want
I
these
really feel
GM.
that they're using it to their advantage, because the profiles are there, the people are there, the contact information is there, the wallets are there. So they've been airdropping since day one. They've been utilizing it to market their NFTs and their company. They recently started doing this monthly sort of on-chain newsletter where they airdrop the recent happenings on Nifty Raven, nftarvn.net, in a sort of newsletter style, but it's an NFT that they airdrop to the WAGMINFT members. So they're using it as it was intended to be used, as a networking tool, as a marketing tool, and to further explore communication and networking on the Ravencoin blockchain. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of how it benefits the entire ecosystem because when in 10 years, when we look back on the early days of blockchain and Ravencoin, people are going to read these and see what was happening. It's going to be part of the Ravencoin history. So it's I'm really grateful that we can get these for free for members, and you can do with them what you want as a holder of it. You can sell it, you can keep it, you can trade it, all kinds of things that we can do with it. So I think that's it for the website. Is there anybody else who would like to come up and share about their project? Dow, I read the article that you posted about your project and Donoski's essay that he wrote. It was so heartwarming. I just love what you're doing over there. I think it's such a great way to get more people signed up with wallets and practicing sending around Ravencoin, but mostly giving them an opportunity. Giving them an opportunity, helping them to learn English. It's just so much fun to be there and having to met them in the first place too. We had a Google Meet with them and they actually gave us some feedback on the website even. It was such a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, how's it going?
hi. And I would love to reprint what you're posting there on our website. I don't know if you're open to that, but if I appreciated reading it, I'm sure other people will too. So we could share
Oh
our
yeah,
network
I mean,
there.
any usage you guys can imagine that will extend its reach it is appreciated and welcome. Yeah, it's a great project, and it's just what's really great about it is I think that none of us that are involved with Community DAO really kind of saw it coming. It just sort of organically happened, and it's been something that we've been able to build with a lot of help from unique, interesting folks. And I was just amazed by this past week's outpouring. So we're trying to figure out what to do next because we have more people coming our way. They're just active. They want to create content. And we just have to find a way to do it that's realistic and economical.
Could you tell us a little bit about how you started and how this came to be what it is now?
With the African contributors.
With no, just in general with the community DAO.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, I honestly, I kind of came to it kind of like, I imagine, maybe like you and sircrone from kind of an art background. I think in November I read the white paper for Portion. Portion, that they do a fair amount of sort of NFT sort of stuff. And their white paper is really good, and it talks about sort of extending blockchain, though it's based on Ethereum, but the whole concept of extending provenance and deeds and documents of authenticity for arts and collectibles and all that. And that really captured my imagination. So with artistic background, I thought, wow, this is a really big thing, this whole NFT movement, as many of us have. And I just sort of started wading in, and at some point I was invited to join the community DAO, like I think the first day. The original kind of project lead, Devin, sort of started it, and sometime in December, and I started getting involved immediately. And basically the way it evolved, though, was just that I I wasn't, no one was paying me. I wasn't paying anyone. I mean, I was just interested in the space, and I wanted to learn and make friendships and develop and understand. And so it was just like we had a bunch of people that were sort of sticking together. And then it just seemed like there was this band-aid that needed to be put on, and then this needed to be handled. And, so messages needed to be sent, and communication started forming. And it was very organic. That's why I like it. There was nothing sort of contrived. I mean, we thought we were doing this or that, but really what we were doing was building a community. And the one of the biggest things that sort of initially made itself visible was this strong contingent from Africa. And when we recognized that, we saw a great power in that. But it was kind of slipping away too. I mean, these people. I mean, there was like 70 people at first that were just making all kinds of memes and chills, and a lot of them weren't good. But it was just a lot of output, which was interesting and phenomenal to see. And I think it blew a lot of us away. So since that time, and that was in December, January, all kinds of sort of things started happening. Like we needed to develop a brand, a look. We needed to develop sort of basic governance, in the sense that we had to make decisions about who had the best logo or this or that. And those all led to sort of developments up to the point where we decided to sort of mint tokens on Ravencoin. And the main reason we were driven to do that was simply to have something that was relative, that was cooler than a point system, right? So we were assigning points to people who were doing this or that tweet or this or that chill or this or that marketing element. And at a certain point, we're like, well, we need to have something that's actually like a token that goes into a wallet. And I happened to sort of just jump onto Ravencoin and was talking to some people at that time and understood it enough to be able to figure it out, how to mint a token, a main asset token, and then sub asset tokens. And so we started constructing a more formal arrangement around that and some of the people that were involved. So it has become an increasingly consuming affair. I'm amazed at how much time I end up spending in this direction, just basically driven by necessity, but by the thought of, okay, I have to, cover this base or that base. And then all of a sudden my time is just slipping away. So that's a good thing. We have people that are engaged. And now it's just a matter of sort of organizing and structuring it and building it and maintaining good relationships and being attractive enough to get people to continue to work with us. And we just love the Ravencoin community, and you guys have been so welcoming. So I don't want to, keep talking too much, but that, I think, maybe is a good answer to your question.
No, thanks for sharing that information. Yeah, no, you could talk more. This is what it's about. It's just about giving everybody the scoop on what everyone's doing. I appreciate all that. I do remember. I think it was like maybe a month or two back before we actually started working with the GM project. Like I remember you coming in spaces and like asking questions like, well, what's a main asset? What's a sub asset? So I kind of even remember the like sort of like weaving into the community, like learning, like sort of like what happened with me. Like I just like the way I met Sunny was I needed to learn how minting worked, and I was like, well, what's a wallet? Where do I mint? How do I do
Right.
this? How do I do that? What's a sub asset? And she just kept sending me like information, and then like at one point it like clicked, and I was like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah, no, actually, I mean, and I had, before we even talked, I mean, because I want to say I minted tokens on Ravencoin like on April 1st, and I basically I was just really just kind of out there because I didn't understand a lot of it, but I understood enough that LSJ, who is a real great, Leighton is a great Raven Angel, had been sort of advising me enough to where I understood meant like a main asset, and then if than the idea of sub assets and things like that. But still, I mean, the full Monty of what you could do with all of those things. I mean, I think many of us are still learning, certainly. And so I certainly gained a lot when I was watching you guys do your the WAGMI stuff, and I began to understand how you could use unique assets and things like that, and create NFTs with IPFS and all that mess. So it's been a great learning experience. You guys have been a huge help. And one thing I wanted to add about you guys were talking about NFT RVN, who I've been having a lot of fun with Jason lately, and that's a great thing that he and Mirage have got going over there. I think they're very innovative and creative. The idea of the digital wallet becoming a type of inbox, almost an email inbox, with newsletters and a variety of tokens and things that you begin to circulate amongst friends and networks. I mean, I can totally see it sort of evolving in that direction, with the added capacity that it actually works as a type of wallet, which is something that email, can't do.
Yeah, that's genius. I remember early on there was like this big Ethereum hack that happened because someone phished all the members on the OpenSea website with this like spam email that everyone thought was coming from the official OpenSea email address. And what happened was many NFTs were stolen. So I was like, why are they emailing still? Why are they not sending an NFT?
Yeah,
Like on Ravencoin, you spend 100 Raven, send 21 billion people an NFT. Why send an email at that point? It's
right,
forever on blockchain. You don't have to put personal information. You could put links if you want. The links aren't going to be phishing links because it's an official, NFT by the official wallet, and
right.
it's great that Jason taking that initiative to use it in that fashion, because it's the most secure way and the most transparent way of sending information. Especially if it's
Absolutely,
not
yeah.
if it doesn't contain personal information or account information, if it's just like hey, we have a sale going on, check out our website, like that's like direct to consumer marketing, like it's genius.
Absolutely, it is. And my only concern is that, or one of my only concerns is that, we're still in that transitional phase where so many millions of people are sort of in the old sort of Web 2 mindset and world. And like, I think Sonny saw this post that I did. It was a reply to one of Mango Farms posts. But I was recently on a Microsoft, like on a PC computer. I think it had, Microsoft 11 or something, whatever the latest version is. And I was trying to pull up, an IPFS file through an NFT, right, that we had made. And it had this nasty looking red screen, all these warnings. Like, you thought, wow, if I take one more step, I'm going to get hacked and phished or whatever. And I wonder, why are they doing that? Do you have an idea about that? Have you guys encountered that?
I personally haven't.
Okay.
What it could be, it could be the gate. Do you remember what NFT and where it was being served from by any chance?
Okay, so you remember that, how when we started doing the GMs, and then I set up that uh, page on our website that had sort of a gallery, right? And so
Yeah,
I started embedding, like, each week now, what we'll do is we'll take the 3 top little designs that are performing the best, that are receiving the most likes, and I'll just mint them through our main asset as a
yeah,
unique asset, and then attach the file, like, through Ravencoin IPFS. And then, so that's the I guess the portal or the gateway that you would go to see it. So it's like, IPFS flare or whatever, and that URL that comes up. And
yeah. So
but it
the only thing I could imagine, I'm still learning a lot about like IPFS, how IPFS is served to a browser from a gateway.
yeah.
So what I've concluded is you cannot link to an NFT IPFS through the Ravencoin IPFS gateway the way you were trying to.
Okay.
I learned that hard way recently, minting my AI animals. For example, you could only see the IPFS if you're looking at it through the Mango wallet. If you try to look at it from any other source, right? Like let's say you minted a custom NFT, like I did the AI animals, and you look at it through an asset explorer, it shows
Yeah.
up blank, right? Now, some browsers might, depending on how the gateway is encrypted, because I know there's 3 different ways I'm learning. You can do what's called a path IPFS, which is the way Ravencoin IPFS is. You can
Uh-huh.
do what's it called, a subdomain, like for example, like ipfs.domain.com. That's called subdomain, or something like that. And then there's a third way. Now, something about the hypertext markup, the hypertext transfer protocol, when it's
Yeah.
done through a path format, it's known as same origin privacy policy or something like that, where the browser can't identify if the content is being served from the domain itself. So what it does, it gives that warning. So
Okay.
there's
I
there,
see.
there's
Yeah.
Yeah, so the browsers, what they're doing is saying, hey, be careful. We can't tell if this is secure data, because in reality it's not. Because the straight path gateway can serve information that you may not want, because the
Right.
domain
So I mean,
itself
it's
is not
basically
open.
something that's not covered by normal firewalls
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
virus scans and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I know Brave browser is now IPFS aware, where it can serve IPFS in the way we want.
Yeah.
But if you're using like Chrome or whatever other, Firefox, you may get that warning only because those browsers have not had any of the IPFS encryption stuff in it. I'm not a
Yeah.
browser
Yeah.
developer. That's my understanding. I could be wrong. Again, I'm learning every day about it, and I
Yeah.
constantly ask questions. But I'm getting it. It's about same origin security, meaning
Okay.
that
Yeah.
the
I mean,
domain
I
is
mean,
actually, yeah.
okay, cool. Yeah. No, I just, I mean, take up too much time there, but on that, but it was something that, I'm just thinking, I'm trying to understand it myself, and that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I've concluded too for those warnings, because the browser can't definitively, because it really isn't definitively being served from that one server. Because for example, the file could be on my computer, the gateway could be serving that file to you on your computer, but it's just using the domain name as a filter, So it's just giving you an appropriate warning, like just be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
We're basically in the middle of Web 2 and Web 3.
Yes.
Is that kind of a way to say it? Because
Yeah, for
if I
sure. We're definitely in the middle, in
yeah,
sort of a twilight place.
yeah, because if I take that the IPFS, that content identifier, and I slap that in the Brave browser, IPFS.io, slap in the content identifier, the NFT will come up. I can see the NFT because
Okay.
there's a direct link to it. There's no, I don't even know the terminology, but it loaded through
Yeah.
Brave. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things are in flux right now, because companies, they're slow to get to stuff. Not that they don't have the technology to do it. It's just they want to make sure that the public is adopting the technology to where they need to make these advancements in their services and their technology, because they don't want to like include IPFS in all their browsers if, like, 5% of the world is going to be caring about IPFS. They're not going to spend millions to develop it. But if they realize, a good portion of the world is starting to adopt it, then, you'll see a lot more browsers being more IPFS aware. And because I know Brave browser can be used as a gateway to view IPFS files. And again, I haven't tested other ones, and I actually appreciate Ryan from Ravenist for telling me about Brave. I didn't know about it till he told me, and I haven't looked back, because I was using Chrome and I kept running into issues with the same thing, right? Like security warnings and like
Yeah.
weird pop stuff. Once I went to Brave, all that went away. So I thank him for that.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, because I mean, I wasn't really. I mean, I've heard of it, but I haven't really had anybody personally recommend it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think the guy who started Brave invented, I believe, Firefox, right?
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, and then his goal is really to make, to empower the end user. Like I have the BAT token attached to my Brave wallet on my Brave browser, and you can set it up so that you can. It's really cool. I mean, it's just really going to change up the internet, but it's still very, very. We're still so early. It's crazy. That's why we're having these problems with the IPFS. But The thing I love about Ravencoin is that the IPFS is embedded in the first layer. And so, like worst case scenario, assuming the file is still being stored, you can just take the content identifier and slap it in, IPFS.io, and you can see your NFT.
Yeah, that's
So
great. It's not
yeah,
going anywhere.
I was panicking before. I thought it was gone and this and that, and I just didn't understand how it's all working. Especially because there's different ways that you can store a file. You can store it privately. You can store it. I learned a lot. Sircrone actually helped me learning about IPFS.io and how it worked. And it's you did a video too, Sircrone, right?
Yeah, it was mainly just how to create the IPFS and how to mint it. Um, you can use the IPFS in pretty much any minting software or minting wallet you want. But it was just showing people how easy it was to get the IPFS. Because for a long time I had no idea how to even get the IPFS hash. I was like, I don't even know. And then once I realized it's just literally import file and you get an IPFS hash, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean it's essentially a just a file attachment, uh, decentralized service thing, and I mean I discovered it the way it was just again organically. I was like, okay, so how would I mint an NFT? Okay, so I minted a unique asset and I called it something, and then it was just a token, and I was like, it's got to have a picture, and how do I get the picture on it? And that's where the Ravencoin is great because I mean it doesn't do it for you because obviously there's not an explanation like right there on that Ravencore interface. um, but it's clear enough to where it says you can put the TX hash or whatever, the IPFS. You have that option, and that's how you do it. You know.
Yeah, and that's what makes it an NFT is that nobody can tamper with it, and that's why we're not putting them on. The files are not attached to like an HTTP website. They're
Right.
attached to IPFS. So that's what makes it non-fungible. Yeah, we're just all learning here, but it's just really cool that that it's happening, and that yeah, Tron Black actually does a really good little spiel, and he says, if your NFT, if we minted it on the blockchain, but if it didn't have IPFS, let's just say we said the image is stored on, Sircrone's website, which is igraphic.com. But if igraphic.com goes away, he goes out of business or goes away, then that image is it's linking to that location. So now you really can never see it again. So Tron Black says it like this. He says one day you'll see a Cronenberg, the next day the website's down, you get a 404. The day after that you see a picture of a tree because somebody else bought the domain name or has the domain name,
Right. Yeah.
and they're selling trees or whatever. So it's like, and then
Looks like I gotta start
IPFS
minting
solves all
trees
that.
No, I have a question about that to you guys. I'll just put out there too because a couple weeks ago I was sort of one of the things I do with our organization is we kind of scan through all kinds of just various news, and I came across this article in maybe a Wired magazine from last month or something, and it was talking about how IPFS is actually not blockchain based, but it is a form of an emergent decentralized phenomenon or component. But essentially, what it is it's like a distributed, like a blockchain is a distributed ledger. The IPFS, at least the way I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, is similar, but it's more just like a distributed, instead of a ledger, it's a distributed file library. So like kind of like BitTorrent, where this person's got like 15% of this file, and so it's not going away because if one person leaves that distributed, decentralized worldwide network, then that data just gets shifted to somebody else's. Does that make sense? Or
Totally. Yeah.
have you guys read that
Yeah.
or seen or understand
it's
that? Yeah.
kind of like that. It's kind of like that. The difference is there's an opt-in option, right? It doesn't automatically get propagated to all computers. Someone has to actually click on pin this file. Now, if let's say I upload an IPFS and I pin it to my personal node, right, my personal computer, it's pinned to one computer. Now, it does get propagated across the network, like you said, sort of fragmented. Other people have the option to pin the IPFS. Now, if nobody else pins the IPFS, and let's say my computer's down or I delete the IPFS, then the IPFS is gone because no one else has pinned it. But if someone else decided to pick up that IPFS and pin it, that means that there's 2 locations that the file is pinned. So that's great. So I am urging people to pin as many IPFS files as they want or can, you know, because it helps strengthen the Ravencoin NFT community, you know. For
Yeah, and
example,
but I was about,
like I have all my Cronenbergs pinned, right? They're also pinned on Pinata. They're also pinned on Filebase. They're also pinned on Ravencoin IPFS. They're also pinned on like 2 other services that I'm using. So if my computer goes down, you know, I can be rest assured that that file will be served from one of those services because they're pinned there. But if they would never pin there, my computer's down, there is a high likelihood that the IPFS will disappear. If, let's say, the IPFS is deleted from the last computer, then that IPFS is completely gone. So that's sort of, so the way I look at it is it's opt-in redundancy. I don't know if anybody knows what a RAID server is on a computer. It's basically you could have, you know, 5, 6, 10, 100 hard drives saved. If one hard drive breaks, there's, you know, a certain portion of hard drives that still can serve the file. Now, if all the hard drives go, then it's gone. That's pretty much IPFS in a nutshell. Now, how the IPFS is served to the client, meaning like your computer that wants to see it, you need a gateway to view it. A gateway can be a browser, it can be your computer itself, it can be a website, like I said, a path earlier. So a gateway is just the viewer. So think of it, a gateway is like a web browser, but for IPFS. So for example, Ravencoin IPFS is a gateway. IPFS.io is a gateway. Recently, the Infura website that went down, that's a gateway. A gateway is just an IPFS viewer browser kind of thing.
Okay.
So if you hard code your IPFS to be served from a particular gateway, and that gateway blocks it or goes down, you can't do the IPFS, but the IPFS still exists. So it's many different moving parts to make it work. Now, which gateway you decide to mint your NFT or which gateway you decide to view your IPFS matters in the long run because, for example, let's say I hard coded my custom NFT to use the IPFS Infura website that recently went down to serve my IPFS file. It'll appear as though my NFT is broken to the public because their gateway is down. And again, I'm still learning. I'm just explaining my understanding of it. I could be wrong. I could be right. I don't know. This is just my understanding. If anybody knows better, I would really appreciate if they can clarify. But I'm pretty certain it works kind of like this, you know, where the gateway is just a browser for IPFS. The IPFS is just a global network of computers that store the data, and then an NFT just encapsulates the information and presents it in one spot.
Right. So the NFT is actually just basically just a stamp on a particular blockchain that references this distributed file storage system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think of it more like an immutable web page, right? So, for example, if you go to igraphit.com, right? igraphit.com, you know, index.html, that's the container of the homepage. Now, that is mutable. I can go in and change the code. But if I minted that HTML file as an NFT on the blockchain, it is now immutable. As long as I'm linking to IPFS pictures, everything is immutable. But if I minted an HTML file that was linking to Web 2 pictures, like Sonny said, one day the picture could be a Cronenberg, the next day it could be a picture of a tree.
Right. Yep.
So understanding that will help investors and collectors more because now they can sort of analyze the NFT a little deeper and really see what they're getting when they're buying an NFT, you know? So
Yeah.
right now, keeping it as a JPEG keeps it simple because there's less moving parts. So my recent AI animals collection was more of like a test to learn how to do more of like a personalized custom NFT where I hand coded the container file and I linked, you know, to certain things the way I was expecting it to work. And it did work the way I was expecting it, but I didn't realize certain other parts that had to work as well, which I won't get into at the moment. But we can talk about that in another space. But that's my understanding of IPFS, and if I'm completely wrong, I really would hope somebody would correct me because I'm open to criticism, and I'm open to learning. Because if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong and teach me how to be right. That's how I work.
I see a new person in the space. Mystic Dog, welcome to our space. I love your PFP and your banner.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Very nice to be here. Thank you for letting me in.
Would you like to talk about your project a little bit? This is an opportunity that we like to give to anyone on blockchain to promote their products.
Yes, I'd love to. Thank you very much for the opportunity. If it's okay, I'll pin my project up there. My cat wants me to talk about it too.
It sounds like a person.
You know, several people have commented on that. Like he does vocalize like a small person, and it was unsettling when I first got him because it would you know I would you know I would until I got used to it I would kind of like respond the same way, but actually I'm here to talk about dogs, and this is I'm a one of one artist, and however I was hired to illustrate a book, and so to kind of fast track from ideas I went to AI to see like just what I could come up with. I didn't find anything. However, got to play, and I kind of went down the rabbit hole. And on the other side of it, came out with I'm really proud of. It took me. I did a lot of research. I did a lot of experimenting, and came up with this idea and this grouping. And it would mean a lot to me if you took the time to take a moment and take a look. And I'd love your comments. It would really be helpful.
I cut out a tiny bit, but what I heard was that is it AI? Are they AI?
It is a combination of AI, and then after I do that, I drop it into Procreate. And
Awesome.
yeah, so like I like to bring it in and do handwork, work on highlights. I make sure things are symmetrical and all those little things that can be problematic with AI. And so I and then to give them a little more depth and definition for a 3D effect and that kind of a thing.
That's beautiful. I love it. I'll definitely go check it out. And I retweeted it too. My
Oh,
PFP
thank
is
you.
actually my PFP that I have up right now is was a collab between Mirage and Sircrone. Sircrone did. He's an artist and illustrator, and he touched up the image. And first her forehead was too big, or some of her eyes, the nose, and now it's my favorite NFT because of just watching the whole process being done from Mirage presenting. We do a thing called Watch Artists Work, and so it's amazing what we can do, and it speeds up your workflow, and then it's a different type of art. So this is going to be a whole new category of art, I believe. These mystical dogs that came out of a computer and then augmented and enhanced with the hand of an artist. So that's its own category, and I love it.
I agree with you. And an interesting thing happened as a result of this that I hadn't planned on was a friend of mine's wife passed away, and he's a writer and a poet. And so, and he's having, just having a really awful time adjusting to his to the loss. And he hasn't been doing any of his artwork or any of his writing for a long period of time. So I took one of his poems and I thought, I'm just going to enter this in and see what comes up. And to my surprise, it was like a really gorgeous image. And so I just emailed it to him and explained to him what I did. And so now he took that image and had it printed onto a canvas and then stretched it and then he painted it on top of it. And then in doing that, he put the words of the poem into the painting, and it's like reinvigorated him to work again. And so I who could have seen that coming?
No, absolutely. Yeah, and in the space we had before too, I foresee, that interaction that you had with them, and then minting it as an NFT for provenance and just keeping an extra copy of something.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
personal cards, personal gifts, that are of that nature. It's just that's a great story. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah,
Yes,
they're
thank
cute.
you.
Yeah, thanks for passing by. That's a special story right there. That's awesome.
Everybody give each other a follow here. Let's all support each other and check out each other's work and retweet, do all the things that we do. RVN or Die, you also had your hand up. Would you like to talk?
Oh, did I have my hand up? I guess I
Oh,
did
I thought
before
you did.
speaker.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. Question for you guys. Have you guys thought about doing NFTs in the physical world or like a display of them? I know there's a lot of OpenSea options out there. Like they're like $400 or $500 for like an NFT frame, but I don't know if anybody's been working on a Raven NFT frame.
I
You mean
was at a,
like printed NFTs?
I think he's talking
Not,
about those viewers, like, the
yeah, the viewers,
viewers. Yeah.
exactly.
I saw one at a show I went to last week, and they were cross-platform. They're basically just loading the IPFS image, is how they were doing it. So, because that essentially is the NFT, right? Is the IPFS image. And so, from my understanding, it was across all blockchains because you could just link the IPFS file, and you could even have it scroll through various images.
Yeah, I wonder if there's anything out there for the Raven or like
I
open
don't
code
not
kind of
not
stuff.
I don't think so, but I think there's so many building opportunities right now for people. It's like crazy. Like build it and they will come. So if anyone
I
knows how to
did,
make a viewer, go
yeah,
for it.
I did go out and buy a Raspberry Pi, and I do have an extra TV in my office just to start flowing through some of my NFTs. But um, yeah, I guess I really haven't gotten down to it, or I haven't started doing some hardcore research into it. And I know Sircrone was talking about gateways and shit, so maybe he had some insight onto
Well,
that.
yeah, that's what a friend of mine's an architect, and he's like now starting to think about designing homes that are not going to have wall space for just typical paintings, but it's going to be a wall space that's going to have a port behind it so that it can be connected to whatever that needs to do to display that art. And it won't necessarily be one image. It could rotate images. It could do all sorts of things. So yeah, we're going to start seeing art in homes and physical spaces completely changing as a result of NFTs. That's
I
my
think
opinion anyway.
yeah. I mean, once NFTs have an area that they can be displayed in the home, I think people have a different perspective or on a digital art and NFTs and the whole world of it.
Yeah, well, that was my idea originally. Actually, was starting WAGMI NFT. Is that I felt like that once I bought the NFT, once I was tweeting about it, afterwards it was just going into a wallet, and I didn't want my NFTs to die in a wallet. So that's where Sircrone came in, and he was just essentially started helping me build out this website to display all my NFTs. Well, next thing you know, we start turning into something else. He has this idea, that idea, and it started
I
because
guess we failed then.
And we also have up here SDV Sean, who's the handle. He has a lot of Twitter followers, so give him a follow. He had an auction on Nifty Raven and is also going to be selling a bunch of other artwork on Ravencoin. So please give him a follow, and thank you for showing up today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, floor's open to anybody. If anybody wants to talk, just say hello.
Hey, Xander, would you like to talk about what's going on with Renewablocks? Because as we know, corporations are coming on to the blockchain, and guess what? They're going to be making NFTs too. And who's going to be doing the artwork on the NFTs? Hopefully Ravencoin artists, if they're minting on Ravencoin. So put up a profile if you're an artist or a builder or whatever on WAGMI NFT today. So Xander, are you able to speak? Maybe not. If there's nobody else who wants, we could close it a little bit early.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we covered a lot of topics. Oh, did he put his hand up or is he waving? Oh, I think
he was just clapping. Yeah. Yeah, they're going to be doing their STO, which is a security token offering, and that, of course, is just the company version of what we're doing with with art NFTs. Artists, I'd like to say that artists were just really here first. You guys broke through the barrier and were creating tokens on blockchains before corporations were, and people now think that NFTs are just art, but they're not just going to be art. They're going to be keys. They're going to be access. They're going to be a share of gold or a share of a stock or a bond, and all of those shares have are the interface is going to be some form of art, and so that's why I think that because it's going to be everything that we view is going to be an opportunity for them to you know sort of interact with their customer. And because it's not limited with the data and with what you can see, how much it costs to print and send around, supposedly a corporation spends millions of dollars just notifying their shareholders on a vote. Now with blockchain, they can send these votes just over the blockchain, just like Nifty Raven sent the newsletter. You could send messages to holders that say vote. You know, do you want to vote to have this or that done? And so that's, I think that's as far as I know, that's already on the Ravencoin blockchain. And Jake actually he minted the Renew a Block security token live, and you can see that on YouTube. And I thought that was so cool. I'm like, oh my God, this is freaking revolutionary. And he took it to T0, which is one of the, I believe, going to be one of the main platforms that are going to be, you know, trading security tokens. And they didn't even know how it was done. So like that's how early we are.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I guess we're gonna close it down for the day.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I can get to work earlier then.
Yeah, so thank you all for coming out today. We really appreciate it, for supporting WAGMI. And again, give everyone a follow here. We'll follow you back. And let's get Ravencoin out there, man. Let's make some noise. And my goal is to, when you go and Google how to mint an NFT or minting NFTs or buy an NFT, I want Ravencoin to show up on the first page. That's my goal. So, and sircrone is busy every day making sure that the SEO is doing what it's supposed to do. And I'm learning all about that too as a result of him. And I'm, when I type in our website, I make sure that I use words that I know that will enhance the SEO too. So anyway, that's all that I have for today. And I'm just really grateful for everyone being here. Every person matters, and we're all going to make it. Thank you so much for coming out.